What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, I'm going to be taking you through my top 3 underrated quad exercises. These are going to be exercises that I find a lot of people tend to overlook when it comes to training and building really strong and aesthetic quads. So let's go. All right, guys, for exercise number 1, it's gonna be Smith machine squats. I find that Smith machine, that's a tongue twister, Smith machine squats. I find that Smith machine squats are definitely an underrated movement because I feel like when people think of like a compound movement to target the quads, you automatically think either hack squat, pendulum squat, or barbell squat, or barbell front squat, which I've done in my quad focus exercises too. So I find that the Smith machine kind of gets a lack of love, and I'm gonna tell you why it's super awesome and it shouldn't be underrated. So a Smith machine squat, again, I would say the best kind of comparison swap out movement for it would be the pendulum squat and the hack squat machine. So this is a great movement if you don't have access to a pendulum squat or a hack squat machine in your gym, which I find, especially in commercial gyms, if you don't have access to a private gym, not all commercial gyms have those like fancy style quad machine equipment things, right? But most commercial gyms do have a Smith machine. So that is why, if you're like, man, I don't have a pendulum, I don't have a hack squat, Smith machine squats, guys. You know why? Because the same type of movement pattern and the way you can position yourself and your legs is the same way you can do it on like a hack squat or pendulum. Very similar, like very like to a T. That's why it's a good swap out, especially because you can target the quads in a very lengthened position. So what that means is you can hit the full ROM, like a full ROM as if you were on a hack squat or on a pendulum, like that type of full ROM where you're training your quads to that full lengthened position up and down. You can do that on the Smith machine, which is really awesome. The Smith machine squat also offers better control due to the pulley system on the Smith machine. So it's more control than if you were to do a barbell back squat, for example, because I know that's free weight, right? So everything has to be involved there. You have to be constantly locked in. Not to say that you shouldn't be locked in mentally with this, but you guys know what I mean. Like the stability and control in a Smith machine kind of offers that almost like oomph of isolation to the quads, because you don't have to really so much worry about, like, for example, your balance as much, or the fact that there's just a total free weight on your back and that's like all solely your control. You have the assistance of the pulley system here, of the control, of the fixed position of it. So it offers that better control and stability as well, and really like honing in on the quad growth. All right, guys, so positioning, you're gonna have your feet kind of like almost directly under the barbell, just a little bit of a step forward, just a little bit. Like I find that when you're directly under it, your back curves in a funky way. We don't want any back injuries here. So for safety purposes, just step out just a little bit in front of you with a very narrow stance, feet parallel directly in front of you, not outwards like this, okay? Shoulder width stance with feet slightly outwards would be more glute focused, okay? We're gonna have narrow stance, so shuffle those in narrow, feet pointing completely parallel, and then we're gonna hit the quads in that lengthened position by coming all the way down. You see that? There's a reason why C-Bum labels this as one of his favorite compound movements, Smith machine squats. Okay, so all the way down. So again, look at the weight, look at that type of ROM. That's the same type of ROM you would be hitting on a pendulum or a hack squat. So that the fact that you can like swap it out with this, because most people have access to a Smith over those two machines, is awesome. Because look at how deep I can go and hit the quads. My calves are literally touching the back of my hams, and then I can shoot up. It's so awesome. It's such a good stretch. All the way down and all the way up. Again, when you come up though, lock out the muscle, but don't lock out your joint. So don't lock out your knees, but lock out the muscle. All right, guys, for our second underrated quad exercise, we're gonna be hitting the narrow leg press. I feel like this one is a little bit overlooked because, again, there are a lot of amazing quad exercises out there, which if you wanna see part 2 of this list, let me know in the comments now below. But this one I feel like is overlooked because I feel like when people hit the leg press, they're just automatically like, okay, like the most generic stance, which we all do, right? It's just hit the glutes here, right? Which is about shoulder width apart. I know I look like I'm freaking in a baby pose here, but we're in about shoulder width apart, feet slightly pointed outwards with your feet more upwards towards the more upper end of the foot platform on a leg press. That would be how most of us like hit a leg press to target our, basically everything here well-rounded, but mostly our hams and glutes in this positioning, but it also targets our quads a little bit as well. But this is mostly how people leg press, right? Exactly like this. But I feel like a lot of people don't use the leg press for such a beneficial movement for hitting the quads and targeting the quads, which is putting your feet at a very narrow stance. Okay, so shuffle them inwards, narrow, parallel again, like we were on the Smith machine. And then instead of having it more on the upper end of the platform here, you shuffle it a little bit lower, kind of like mid-range low, mid-low range, but feet really narrow, very parallel, mid-range low in terms of height. And then this trains the quads a little bit more in a shortened position, not super short as like a quad extension, for example. That's a really shortened position, but this doesn't hit as full of a ROM compared to a compound movement like a hack squat, a pendulum squat, and a Smith machine squat, barbell squat, all that stuff. This one trains it a little bit more in a shortened position where we kind of stop here and then come up, and stop here and come up. This is also great for optimal quad growth as well. It's good to train anything, your glutes, your quads, your hams, your biceps, your triceps in a variety of positions, lengthened position, shortened position, unilateral movements, right? So all these things are important. So hitting it in a shortened position as well is also great for quad growth. So the narrow leg press, it's as simple as it is. You shuffle it in, take your feet from a little bit of a higher stance to a lower stance, feet completely parallel, and then you come in and then you come up. Come down and then come up. I can feel this mostly in my quads. Again, this is a very quad focused exercise, so it should be mostly feeling it in your quads. Again, remember when I told you guys anything narrow when it comes to quad, narrow is your best friend. When you want to target your quads, hit your quads, whatever you're trying to do, narrow, the word narrow and quads go hand in hand with each other. So always think narrow when you think of quads. I'm gonna put it up a little bit and let's get a little bit of a quad pump going here. For our final exercise of today's top 3 list, we are going to be doing Bulgarian split squats. Why are we doing that, Maddie? I thought it's a holy grail glute exercise. It absolutely is a holy grail glute exercise in terms of unilateral movements, but underrated for the quads, in my opinion. I feel like it's such a huge glute thing in the fitness industry, like Bulgarians and glutes, but it's also so amazing for quad growth. Honestly, like before people found that kind of, or before we all found that kind of tweak to make it just a better glute focused movement, Bulgarians, I feel like were like a quad building exercise. Like it was just so good for the quads. It really is. But again, and if you guys have seen my other videos, especially on form breakdowns with this, you guys know the form tips I'm about to go over right now. And if you're new here, stick around and watch it to know how it becomes quad focused. With a glute focused Bulgarian, you guys know the drill. It's further out stance, escalator motion, meaning diagonal, and a lean forward in the torso. And we're not doing glute focus today, we're doing quad focus. So what we're gonna do, remember I said quads and narrow go together? Quad and narrow. So we're gonna have a narrower stance to the bench. So we're gonna come closer to the bench in terms of our step. The working foot is gonna come closer, okay? Instead of being out here, we're gonna come here, okay? We're gonna keep our torso completely upright, so no lean, completely upright. And then we're gonna go down in an escalator motion. So just up and down, not diagonal, just up and down to really, really just like become total quad focus. Even right now being in this stance, look at the like tension right in my quads. Like the tension just being upright like this in my quads, like you can see that separation and everything. It's like the quads get like huge pump from this, especially when we're doing it in that way. But if we step out and do that lean forward, I can already feel that there's more tension now being put on my glutes and hams, hence why this position specifically is such a good glute ham builder. But coming in closer, my quads are just taking it all. So again, narrower stance to the bench, up and down motion, torso upright, and just up and down. So again, why are unilateral movements so important in anything, whether you're training upper body or lower body? Because you're training one leg or one arm, for example, at a time, preventing any muscle or strength imbalances. So then, you know, you don't have one glute that's bigger than the other, one quad that's bigger than the other, or stronger than the other, you know what I mean? So unilateral training and exercises are super underrated and important. All right, guys, that concludes my top 3 underrated quad exercises. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see a part 2, but make sure to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.